Hey guys, Saf coming at you with another Raid Shadow Legends video, and today I have what I would best describe as the world's strongest Seer. It's probably not, I'll be honest, I'm probably being over-exaggeration, but I have the worst shard luck in the world, but apparently the best soul luck in the world. So far, out of all of my souls, I haven't spent any money on souls, I haven't bought any of the soul stones, I haven't done anything like that. I've literally just completed twins and done the hard, normal, and brutal top chest of Hydra. That has been my entirety of my shard pulls. I obviously did the tournaments and I went and got all the different places you could get the extra soul stones. And out of those soul stones, I have managed to pick up a 5-star Cantra, which is very lucky, a 2-star Constantine, a 1-star Baron, a 1-star Ninja. This Ninja and I think Ghost one I bought from the market because I use them everywhere. So they're the types of champions that I would be willing to trade in coins for champions that I use everywhere just to get them a blessing of some sort. I also have managed to get on day one a 6-star Doom Priest. I've got a 2-star Leaker. I use that in my Clan Boss team. I've got a 1-star Geomancer. I bought that from the market. And I've got a 2-star Ceres. Although, on reflection, I don't think there's actually a blessing that makes Ceres that strong at all. You could probably either go Aura if you were using her without an Aura in your team, or I think most people are going to go Chainbreaker just for 40 accuracy. But until I get her to 4-star, it's kind of useless because the chance is pointless. So Ceres wasn't so much good. I have got a 5-star Hellhades as well. I was able to test Phantom Touch with her in the Blessing Showcase. Also got a 2-star Renegade. That's really helpful for a lot of content. Again, I use her everywhere. I don't have a Kaima. I don't have a Yumiko. I don't have another reset champion. So Renegade is my go-to choice. And Cold Heart is 2-star. But the reason why we're all here, I got a 6-star Perfect Soul Seer. And this is absolutely disgusting. This is probably one of the strongest Seers in the entire game because of the Blessing and Awakening. I will do a full spotlight on the Blessing rather than include it in this video because I really want to focus on what this means for my Seer and how I'm going to build her. What this allows you to do once you hit 6 out of 6 is use Crushing Rend. Each round, a number of this champion's hits will ignore a % of the target's defense. Now, obviously, we know Seer's purpose in life is to kill the enemy waves, and you need buffs to feed that. Obviously, if you haven't got a lot of damage in your build, a lot of crit damage, a lot of ignore defense, you need more buffs. So this is kind of insane. The percentage of ignore defense depends on the level. And then at High Awakening, and this is the important thing about Crushing Rend, I'll cover it in the spotlight, every hit will ignore a percentage of the target's defense at High Awakening. So you can see, if I just had a 1-star Seer, it's actually kind of rubbish. First hit each round will ignore a percentage of the target's defense, will ignore 1% defense for each 50 levels. So I'm getting just over 1% in Arena, and in places such as sort of high level stage 25 content, it's like 350 is the level. So we're talking like 4%, 5% ignore defense. But it's only on the first hit. Now, on Seer, this is actually quite good anyway because one hit wonder, right? If you're not killing it in the first wave, you've probably got a problem anyway. But what really makes this disgusting, at 4-star, you get 20% more crit damage. So I get flawless execution at 4-star, just built in. And then at 6-star, every hit ignores target's defense, not just the first two. I'm going to run a couple of dungeons. You're going to see how it actually makes a significant difference to the way that this would run in terms of efficiency. We also go from 25 levels at 5 to 10. That is a massive increase. At 6-star, this ignores 35% of the target's defense. At 5-star, 14%. So you more than double the benefit, and you get 7 speed. And we're getting 400 attack, which obviously our A1 is based off. So if we consider how empowerment works for legendary champions, well, you can't empower a Seer. But when we look at the stats here, empowerment at +4 is about 40% attack. On a base attack here is quite low. It would be quite low, right? So if we were doing it here, we would get 1145. You times it by 0.4, and that would be around about, it's probably going to be around about 500. 458. So I'm essentially getting the same stat equivalency as a +3.8 on my Seer here. So that firstly is an insane amount of power creep. We're also getting 20% crit damage. At +4 you would get 30%. So again, we're talking like a +3 empowerment for a better word. Obviously you can't get crit damage on +3, but for a better word, we're getting nearly a +4. So the blessing stats alone are equal to empowerment. Then you add in the ignore defense. The way I normally assess how much damage an ignore defense does, one cruel set is about the same as one critical damage set. If you're umming and ahhing about which one to pick, they're about equal, which is why Savage is better on her, because 3 cruels are about 15% crit damage, savage 25, and then you can put another cruel for 35%. So savage plus crit damage or savage plus cruel. Cruel will just about win it for the attack percentage and a couple of other things, but they're about the same. So if I'm adding 35% more ignore defense, which is what Crushing Rend is going to give me on the stage 25 mobs, well, that is 20% per 5. That is about an additional 140% more crit damage. That is an insane amount of damage boost. So how have I built my Seer here? Well, to be honest, I've kind of ignored accuracy now because I have this really powerful reaction banner that I actually have no orc that I could use this on anyway in arena. Because it's HP based, you can't really, if I had a warlord, I'd need the accuracy. And if I looked at any other legendaries, I'd never use them in arena. If it was Robar, I'd need an attack. So I've put this on her. It's a perfect roll, +8, +24. It's like, this can't get any better other than being a quad roll. That'll just help with my speed. I've got a revenge accessory on here purely because I want more attacks on the A1 on the boss. The boss is where it takes so long. And then I can just put more attack here. I used to have a blood shield ring. I was able to remove the buff. I don't need it anymore. And then I've put her in lethal cruel. So not only are we getting 35% ignore defense from Crushing Rend, we're also getting 30% ignore defense from my artifact sets. And this is some of my best gear, if not my best Savage Cruel gear here. We've got probably not so great boots, speed 45 with a crit rate. In any of these sets, I'm always looking for crit rate and speed on the boots. The shield, we've got a triple roll crit damage with crit rate. That's pretty good. The helm, not so good at low rolled, but it's still pretty decent. That would be nice if it was attack percentage, and it would be higher roll ranges. Triple roll crit damage on the weapon, one of my best cruel weapons. Double roll crit with crit damage. And all these slots have accuracy on the side as well, which is nice to have. This is probably the weirdest one. I've got resistance. It's purely because it's rolled the crit damage. So where does that leave us in terms of stats? My Seer here is 218 speed with 318% crit damage in lethal cruel, 6 out of 6. And to top it off, she's in War Master. Not even in flawless execution. This is probably one of the strongest Seer builds in the game purely because of Awakening. 318% crit damage in Savage, Lethal, War Master build. Let me show you how insanely powerful this is. Let's go to Dragon. So Dragon 25 waves, they have around about, if I just pull up the stages tool on my other monitor here. So they have around about 7,900 defense to 5,500 defense. That's the target we're looking at. I've got a shield set on my Renegade here, and I've also got Ghostborn. So we're going to go in here, and you're going to see the absolute insane power. All we have so far is 4 buffs out. I could put decreased defense and increased attack. We now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 buffs. Look at this damage. Keeping in mind the HP of these mobs are around about 350,000, 240,000, 400,000. I am killing these with 3 champions. And we can go through this again, cycle through, put the crit rate up. I don't really need those buffs. I could probably one-shot it without them. Like, if we just do this to kind of show how much damage this does, we almost one-shot it without decreased defense. The full wave. Without decreased defense. And this is like the highest stage. Obviously, we're gonna wipe it. So that's not what I want to show you here. Let me just run this again and show you the actual full team that I run now. I actually used to run this in around about a minute and 10 seconds. That was my average. And it still is quite slow to some extent, purely because we're just cycling through. She's not the boss killer in here. She would be this team. Where is my team? That's Dragon 25. I used to run Ruel for buffs. I don't need to do that now. I can cut that out completely. And I can literally just run this team. Where is it? So I used to run Ruel in Septimus' slot. I don't need the buffs anymore because the damage boost she's just got is insane. So we're just going to run this here and you'll see how quickly she just annihilates these waves. We've got buffs out more now. Boom. She doesn't need any other help. She can just one-shot it on her own. And we're just going to cycle through here. Boom. Everyone dies. 800,000 damage. This is overkill. Now I could optimize this further. I would probably run double Armiger rather than Septimus and just try and get double Armiger, double Reflex and kill this boss as quickly as possible. I reckon I can get this down to about a 35 to 45 second farm because of how quickly I can get to the boss now. I've also seen some teams run a Kaimar Dark Kale in this version rather than Armiger Septimus. I don't have a Kaimar and I don't think it works without the Kaimar because you need the A1 poisons. But again, it's being killed about 10 to 15 seconds faster than my previous records. We're now consistently there, 51 seconds. That used to be for me about 1 minute 10, 1 minute 5. 6 out of 6 Crushing Rend has saved me 15 seconds farm. Let's take it to a difficult dungeon. The one that most people struggle with for gear is the Fire Knight 25 run. I'm going to do a super raid here as well. So the biggest problem with Fire Knight 25 is the stage waves have auras. So the Gnarl Horns will actually give the enemy really significantly higher defense. So when we're in Dragon 25, obviously 7,997 is still a lot of defense, but when you do drop defense, you're getting through a lot of the damage mitigation. When we look at Fire Knight, if I just look at my other monitor here and we go to 25, we go up to like the 10 to 11,000 range. That's a lot higher defense values, which means that the decreased defense is not able to cut through as much. So you need more buffs. Now, this is my old team that I used to run. I haven't looked to optimize this at all yet, but I do quite like Ruel in Dungeon Leads because of his passive. He gets basically effectively 10% more incoming damage. But we're going to slow this down and you're going to see the amount of damage there. One shot, 500,000. That is almost 200,000 more than I need on the Nethrils. And it's normally the Nethril that's hard to kill. On the second wave here, go through fast, kill again, reset, boom, 800,000. Now, what I want to show you on this is the impact of Crushing Rend has on War Master. I'm going to take it off auto a second. We'll just break the shield. We have basically my Ruel here is in Savage as well. So their War Masters should be similar if I didn't have Crushing Rend up. So we're just going to auto this, get that out there. She's going to do her weaken. He's going to do his abilities. And then the boss is obviously fully turn meter control. This is a 100% run. He never takes a turn. So I'm going to slow it down here. We want to watch the Ruel War Master proc here. Hopefully we get one. 68,000. She's going to do War Master. 96,000. 68,000 versus 96. This is the ignore defense having an impact here. She is able to apply it to the War Master as well, which means when we're running on bosses, we're not only just killing the wave with overkill, we're speeding up the boss fight, which is where this takes the most of its time. When I'm doing a normal Fire Knight team, it's not killing the waves that takes time, it's killing the boss. And that's why I prefer to have War Master over Flawless Execution on her, so that I can get more damage out on the boss. She will do so much damage now on just the boss alone than what she was doing before. Obviously, we get the resets there for her buff removal. We get a bit of damage coming out, and boom. And that's obviously a slower because I paused it. But you can see she's doing the most damage. So if we think how much Crushing Rend is actually increasing in terms of War Master, we go from a 68 to a 96, which with some basic math, which I'm never good doing on the side, it is about a 40% increase in damage roughly on those War Master procs. If I run this fully on full speed, you'll see how quickly I can get through this. My average time before was about 1 minute 30 with this team. I haven't optimized it yet. I'd like to do that over sort of the quiet periods in the next couple of days now that we've got blessings done. I haven't really had a chance to play the game, but we can quickly see how fast this is now. Average runs before 1 minute 30 to 1 minute 35. This run here should be about 1 minute 15 to 1 minute 10, depending on how we get lucky with the whole resets and her extra turns. It might slow us down. The awkward thing that I need to optimize here on this wave is we only want Seer really doing her A2 once. We're wasting an attack, but we want it once for the weaken ability. Obviously, no other champion here brings weaken. I could look to swap out Ruel for a different champion, but he does do a nice increase on his passive. Once he's got a Hex out there, his passive does a lot of work. It slows the boss down by 5%, and it increases all damage he receives by 10%. So it does actually have a significant impact. Whether or not that's better over, say, a dedicated weakened champion would be interesting to see. But we're just going through this now. We're going to smash this through. Awesome. Smash, smash. It's a bit slower than my other runs, but it's about 1 minute 15. We've also got Phantom Touch firing on Renegade here, so that's helping with a little bit more bonus damage. I reckon when everyone's blessed up, this could be even quicker, like 1 minute 10, 1 minute 5, 1 minute even, potentially, with the extra damage from Renegade. So there you go, 1 minute 21, that was averaging 1 minute 30. This is the power of Crushing Rend on Seer. It is actually a little bit disgusting. In terms of other places, the fun place to do it is in Ice Golem. How high can you really get this damage? This team that I run, I tend to do more buffs than I would do anything else. We don't really have a decreased defense or weaken. We do have it in Venus here, but the buffs are where we do this. One shot, 500,000. Nothing can withstand the power of my Seer. It is probably the strongest build that I've ever built any champion on in this game. It is quite fun. I'm going to blast through this here. 1.1 million damage. Wow, 1.1. Now, obviously, here we've got to just like get a bit bored because we have to wait. I don't have a Bad L, or I don't have a Theodore, and I don't have a Tomb Lord. So I'm in this position where Uragrim is my kind of go-to, and I'm kind of using Tyre as well to try and activate the poisons a little bit more. I don't know whether that's actually better or not, but she does do a fair amount once you get the poisons. It's killing the ads of the hard bit. Once the ads are down, everything's a bit faster. But yeah, we're just flying through this now. And I'm going to end this here, and I'm going to jump back in other content in a second. So the only thing to note, obviously, this depends on the content. So the harder the content, the better this blessing kind of gets. Now, I could use her in Arena. The only problem is in Arena, we're only really going to gain 6% ignore defense. So that puts us up to like 41% ignore defense. But you could kind of find a really slow Arena team. See if I can find one here at low gold, something interesting. It's an awkward team. I'm trying to find a team that's like basically tanky. There you go. Let's just run this team here. Let's take this out, and let's put in a Duchess, Seer, with another sort of triple buffer. We could do, I wonder if Archmage is built, because what do we need? Like an increased speed, increased crit rate, increased crit damage. Archmage would be wonderful here. Where is he? Let's just make sure he is fast enough. Yeah, he should be. So we've got Archmage, Duchess, we've got triple buffs, any other buffs that we can think of here that will just add more insane damage. We could go for a Krisk. So what do we bring in here? Buffs, 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 no decreased defense or weaken, basically no damage. Now, obviously, if they're in Stone Skin, well, we've got to try and steal the Stone Skin buff. We don't really know. I'm just using it as a test example. They don't. So what we're going to do is we're going to buff everyone. I'm going to do this buff. Awesome. We're going to do this buff. How much damage does my Seer do? The world's best Seer in Arena with these many buffs out. She won't strip the buffs because she has no accuracy. 52,000. I mean, keep in mind, there was no decreased defense or weaken. They had all the buffs out there in the world. That's not that. It's pretty crazy, right? We've got another team here we can try. I don't really want a speed team because none of this team is speed tuned. We don't really want that. Let's just see if we can find a better team here. Here we go. Let's try this team. This might be terrible. I'll be honest, there's a Vogoth. These are not, this is not how you would play this champion. I'm flexing, for a better word. I'm showing off. There's not much I can show off in my account in terms of meta champions, but this might be one of them. So we're going to put buffs out here. They're going to do buffs. We're all going to do buffs. Everyone's doing buffs. We're going to throw more buffs out. You're going to do a buff. Right, so we've got, I don't know, a bazillion buffs here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 on all my team. So that's 8, 14, was 8, 16, 8, 32. And they've got buffs. We've got about 50 buffs. How much damage do we do? Not an awful lot, which is what I expected. Vogoth, again, if we were buff stripping, well, that's an interesting story. So what we could do is we could say, let's bring out Helmut and let's bring in a Lady Kimmy. Let's bring in increased accuracy, if I can find her in my team. There we go. So we still get the same volume of buffs, but now we've got at least something that maybe we can do some buff stripping. So we'll just throw that out. Boost. Still getting a substantial amount of buffs out. Oh, we're going to take a turn first. How much damage do we do? That's not bad. It's not bad, considering. This is a terrible, terrible team. I have no decreased defense out. I have no correct teams. You wouldn't use Seer in this fashion. But what I want to highlight here is obviously that Crushing Rend is only really adding 6% extra ignore defense. It's not going to make a massive difference in Arena. Where you're going to see the value of this is in places like Hydra. We obviously will be enemy max HP capped in Hydra, so we can't really use it there. But Crushing Rend on other enemy max HPs will help you build tankier defenses if you were running that. High-end dungeon clearing, you need less buffs. It is a little bit disgusting. I actually killed in 106 hard. I think it's 106 hard. The Mortu Macabre wave. Is it 107? Is one of these waves here, 105 maybe. I actually one-shot the Mortu Macabre wave without decreased defense because I had so many buffs up. It is disgusting because these levels are really high. So if we go to like let's just take this wave as an example, we can rerun it. This is my usual team, which is this. She will pretty much kill any wave in any dungeon in this game at high level. So we've already got a 25% penalty out here for damage because I froze the team. We're going to put decreased defense and weaken out. We've got loads of buffs up. We can just extend them if we want. How much damage does she do with all of these buffs out? 500,000. So there you go, guys. I have probably one of the best Seers in the game now. Let me know if you've got a better build. Keep in mind, just because my crit damage might be lower than yours, I'm in lethal cruel. That is 30% ignore defense. I've seen some teams on the optimizer have 360% crit damage, but they're in triple crit damage set, which is not as much damage as my Seer here because it's not, the ignore defense is better with a savage or a lethal set. Let me know if you've got a better build. Let me know what you think of this. I'm going to be optimizing all of my dungeon teams now. I reckon this one change, this one blessing is going to save me around about, on average, 10 to 20 seconds per dungeon team. And I was already running most of my dungeon teams, with the exception of Ice Golem, at 1 to 1.5 minutes. So that's a massive increase for me. That is like 40%, 30% of my time. I'm doing terrible math here. It's about 25, 30% of my time saved doing tournaments and events. Gives me more competitive advantage. 6 out of 6 Seer. World's strongest Seer. I'll catch you in the next video.